Hello, my dear students. In today's lesson, we'll talk about the general problems in translation. And first of all, what kind of general problems we have in translation? First of all, it's the language and the culture, types of translation, decoding and decoding, equivalence, loss and gain, untranslatability. Specific problems in translation and equivalence. The says that the translator should not work on the general text, but on each individual structure in the linguistic feature. This forms a structuralist approach to translation. Each text is made up of a complex set of systems related to each other. The problems that arise when each structure is seen separately have been listed by Wortmann. Reader focuses only on text context. Reader understands each structure and the complexity of connections. Reader focuses one of the level of the work for a specific purpose. Reader uses elements that are not native to the text and uses it for his own purpose. Specific problems in translation. 20th century translation theory studies the reader not only as a reader but as a producer of the text. The problem of what Julie Christie calls intertextuality, the connection between the text and all other texts surrounding it. The translator first translated the SL into a way in which the understands, which is later translated into the TL, which is the reader then translates in his mind according to his context. Prose translation problems. Let's discuss some poetic translation due to the lower sets of prose. Context is considered separate from form, translated into parts rather than as a whole, finding terms in the TL with high level of faithfulness to the CL. Must be skilled to translate feelings and other nuisance. Translation of original linguistic devices is impossible. Dramatic translation problems. For example, most neglected area when it comes to discussions on translation. Different form prose translation because prose is meant only to be read. Dramatic translation is always incomplete, and always are incomplete in written form. They meant to be performed should drama be translated as a literary text or as an element which is part of a more complex system. Dramatic translation problems. Linguistic system is only one element. The focus has to shift to spectacle and the performance. Anna Yurshel points out that it's near impossible to separate text form. Performance in any such separation leads to distorted translation. Most writers translating drama on literary elements, thereby discounting the freedom that comes with performance. The function of the play is also neglected. Dramatic text is characterized by rhythm, intonation, and the rhythm, which is not obvious only from the written text. Dramatic translation problems. 7th is Robert Carnegie states that the translator and the actor must hear the voice of the character and focus on the natures that are built into the text. The translator also has to take into consideration the playability of the text. Playability and the performability change according to the context and age. Shakespeare Shylock. Basnet introduced the concept of gestural pattern, which is based on a comprehension of the structures of the text. Gaps occur between performance-oriented translation and the reader-oriented translation. Focus should be given to what J.D. Krauss calls additive poetic translation problems, and Roloff distinguishes same stages of translating poetry. For men, literal, metrical, poetry, and prose, rhyme, blank verse, interpretation. Poetry translation problems, translating texts that are remote in time, structures, and language list. This means of the poem in its particular text is lost. With poetry and other issues is a translation from vertical to horizontal level, from a high status language to one of the lowest status. This kind of semiotic transformation of Jacobs and creative interpretation indicates that the poem is offered to suit the context in which written rather than which is written. Further translation follows intertextuality between versions. If it is not taken into consideration, it loses meaning. Mildly referred semiotics of poetry talks about force the continual recommencing and this indecisiveness, which is alternately lost in phone of each separate reading, leading to regular significance each time. Layers of meaning emerge, which each reading is nearly impossible to translate. Poetic translation is based on the interpretation of the original, thereby ensuring different versions impossible to translate. Figures language confusion arises between interpretation and translation. So, thank you very much for attention. Goodbye.